So, Scott, you say that there is a 70% chance that Dorsey will remain the CEO of Twitter. Where do you get that?
I make it up for two or three.
We make all these things up.
Two or three reasons. One is that Twitter is more interesting than Square, which is what his day job is.
Yes.
But
that's what he did when he got kicked out of Twitter.
Well, yeah. So he went to do the other thing, but it's consumer-facing, and he's a product guy, and he knows Twitter at its core. He didn't say he didn't want it. The interim thing doesn't make a lot of sense because it creates, Dick, in my opinion, Dick should have stayed till they brought somebody in, or done it quietly and then brought somebody in. So to make the transition to Jack and then make the transition again, the last thing Twitter needs is more disruption. They need to. One, they have 6 elevator speeches, and they need to figure out the one that they should use. I think I know what that one is. And
what is it?
Well, they're the one broadcast platform of all the social networks. So Facebook you use to communicate with your friends and family. Instagram's pictures. Twitter is how I communicate to the world, and I can do it with pictures and video, and obviously Vine and Periscope are parts of that. They actually have a distinctive place, but for whatever reason, they've complicated the service over time, and that's one of their biggest problems in terms of having people use it. It's a broadcast medium, and it's awesome. But they don't say that for whatever reason. There's like 5 or 6 different ways they talk about themselves.
What is Jack Dorsey going to do that Dick Costolo couldn't do?
Well, that's one of my concerns, because they said, well, the team's in place and the strategy's in place. So let Dick stay in place, except Wall Street wasn't really happy for good reason, right? It's too expensive to operate the place. It loses money. Revenue's not going up, and consumers are not going up. So there's problems. So I think Jack is a product guy, and as one of the founders can say, listen, we're going to go here, and because I have it in my bones, I can go here, and everyone will rally with me maybe more than with Dick, who everybody loved. I mean, they stand up and cheered, and it's hard not to love Dick. I know him. But I'm concerned that if we're going to keep the same strategy and have the same people in place, and it's interim, which is a negative, then that's a bad thing.
Well, and it's interesting because we saw the flood of tweets after this announcement was made from many of his friends, Mark Benioff and others, who said Dick Costolo, yay for him. He increased, market cap by 24 times. I mean, what other CEO, who else can boast
No, he took it from a teeny little company with 60 people. It's 4,000 people. It's It's all over the world. My biggest disappointment with them is that in the old days, and I was hoping that Howard Lindman was going to join, or maybe will, because I asked Howard when he started StockTwits, is like, why don't you build it on the Twitter platform? Why can't you? And at the beginning, these companies extend themselves, and they let other people build on the platforms. And I wish that tweets were everywhere. They were more everywhere before.
Yeah.
Create it on Twitter, see it everywhere, I think is one of the many strategies that Twitter should employ.
Well, interesting. I don't know, Pim, if you got to see some of the more funny tweets that came out from the Twitter sphere about Dick Costolo. Let's pull up some of these guys. Snoop Dogg came out.
He wants the job.
He said, I'm ready to lead. Snoop for CEO. I love that. Aaron Levy wrote back saying, at a minimum, Snoop should be chair of the audit committee. Mark Andreessen, could one run Twitter as CEO entirely via a Twitter account, asking for a friend? I mean, it's all very funny stuff.
Well, you could, because Evan Williams, who's on the board and also a founder and was CEO, runs this really cool thing called Medium, which is just really long tweets.
Right.
In effect, it's a blogging platform, and you'd love to see actually that integrated, where you do the tweet, which I love. I mean, the fact that it's 140 characters, it forces all of us to shut up a little bit, which is a good thing.
But it's interesting because Twitter has benefited, maybe not so much Dick Costolo and cost him his job, but for CEOs like Elon Musk, I mean, he puts out a tweet and adds $1 billion to his market cap. He's not the only one, by the way, who's benefited from that broadcast.
No, it's a great communications platform. It is a way to say something very succinctly, and I think it's a lesson for everybody. I wish it actually had taken off more, because people are too wordy. When you have to boil it down to 140 characters, you really can.
Would you buy the stock?
Well, I don't buy public stocks because on the off chance that I actually hear something in a lunchroom because I'm in and around the valley.
So in 6 months from now, is Twitter still independent? I
think it is independent, because I think the buyers for it, because it's expensive, have the problem that if it was a Google, the regulators are going to look at it for a year, and in that year of greater indecision, you then diminish the asset, and if the Google deal or whatever doesn't go through, that's a problem. But I think it's one of the fundamental social platforms. There are others. You know, Snapchat has its, which is that they disappear, and Facebook has it, and they're clearly the granddaddy. But there's room for more than one, and Twitter is special, and I think that with the visionary leadership who everyone listens to. I also get nervous because of that there's a bunch of the guys who were there on the board. If I were going to take the job, I'd have to say the guys who have been here, they can't be on the board. So you're going to have three former CEOs on the board. That's crazy. And anybody who takes the job should say, I have to at least in my soul power say they can't be here.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to suggest something, and you know one of them is saying, we tried that. And the we tried that, I've been in that in my career, and it's like, you know, times change. So I worry about too much legacy.